Surely you can't be serious.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
Oh, Captain, my captain.
I'm telling you straight, it's my way or the highway.
Oh, command me, Lord. Now you want to get nuts? Come on, let's get nuts.
Tell me something, my friend. You ever dance with the devil in the pale moonlight? I always ask that of all my prey. I just like the sound of it.
I'll have what she's having.
You have chosen wisely.
It reminds us of all that once was good. And it could be again.
My calculations are correct. When this baby hits 88 miles per hour, you're gonna see some serious...
You're listening to the 30-something movie podcast. Classic movies, 30 years in the making. You're listening to the 30-something movie podcast. I have with me tonight, first of all, I guess, what episode are we? We're episode number 249, so one away from 250, which, pulling back the curtain a little weird because we recorded 250 a while ago, just because of time constraints, things like that. But we are one away from 250, so that's kind of awesome and amazing. But even more awesome and amazing than that, I've got two great people here with me tonight to talk a little bit about the, I'm not even going to use any superlatives yet. I'm just going to say we're here for Roadhouse. And that's all I'm going to say. And now I'm going to say, first of all, very first time guest with us. And can I probably say long time listener, because you've been listening for a while now.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, so we've got Jason Colvin with us. So Jason, thank you for coming on with us tonight.
Man, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Absolutely.
Talking to celebrities.
Yeah. You know, my daughter, was it my daughter? No, it was my sister. We went to go see Dark Phoenix yesterday.
Uh-huh.
And I don't want to comment too much on that movie, but we walk out of the theater, and a couple days before, my family and my sister had gone out to lunch somewhere, and the person at the counter recognized who I was, and they're like, "Yeah, I think you taught my sister. I give you a 10% discount on your lunch." I was like, "Okay, cool."
Score.
And then I'm leaving the movie theater, and one of the ushers at the movie theater goes, "Oh, hey, Mr. Reed, how's it going?" And my sister's just like, "Do you just know everyone?" And I said, "Well, I mean, when you taught for more than a decade, you kind of know, several thousand kids and their families, and so sometimes you feel a little bit like a celebrity, but."
Right.
And we got Bo with us tonight. Bo, how you doing?
I am well, John.
I'm sorry. I keep dropping the ball and not using your name. Love Fest.
That's correct.
the Love Fest is here. We're feeling the love tonight.
Yes,
As I start singing some Elton John, but decided not to because we want people to keep listening.
I was going to say, and we all thank you for that.
Mm-hmm. You're welcome. You're very welcome. All right. So like I said, we are talking Roadhouse tonight. And very, very quickly, let me run through our regular kind of spoiler spiel. Had to say that very carefully before I spit into the microphone. So our spoiler alert is when we start talking about our movies, we may, even in this kind of intro time, we may talk about movies that you have not seen yet. So just be aware of that. We don't hold anything back. So this is your spoiler alert for the rest of the episode. If you haven't seen Roadhouse, whatever you've heard about Roadhouse, I don't want to share opinions yet because we're not talking about it just yet, but go see it. I think it's worth watching this movie, depending on what people's opinions are. And Jason and Bo and I have not talked yet about our opinions on this movie. So I'm going to assume that they're pretty positive because I think I got that from just little comments that we've made here and there. But so just spoiler alert, if you haven't seen this movie, go watch it, then come back and listen to the episode. If you haven't left us a review on iTunes yet, please do that. That's just a great way. It's let other people find out about the show, to let us know how we're doing on the show. And, a lot of other shows will have like Patreon stuff and they'll ask for money and things like that. And hey, if you want to throw cash our way, we're never going to throw it back at you. But that's another great way to kind of help out the show that does not cost you anything other than maybe like 60 seconds, unless you forgot your iTunes password, then it's like 120 seconds. But beyond that, iTunes review or wherever you get your podcasts, that would be super helpful for us as well. And you can go visit our website, 30podcast.com, which the other day I just went through after having the same website for however many years we've been doing this, just went through and just updated it to make it a little simpler looking and just kind of streamline some stuff. So just did a little bit of stuff in the background there to kind of make that, clean that up just a little bit. So feel free to go visit the revamped 30 podcast website and enjoy that there. There's other ways on there that you can get involved with the show, contact us through all the different social medias and the voicemail line and all that stuff. So if you want to do that, that's a great place to do it. It's 30podcast.com. So as I said, I've got Bo, I've got Jason with me tonight. We're probably just going to jump right on in to This Week in 89 and talking about the movie. But before we do that, Jason, since we haven't had you on here before, I have a couple of questions that I did not send your way ahead of time, so I'm just going to put you on the spot here.
All right, I'll do my best.
Okay. So first of all, and people can't see us because obviously they're listening on an audio medium here, but
This
I
is
already
an
said
audio medium, John.
audio, right? I already said I thank you very much for. I know that you're from Oklahoma. I know you're a big Sooners fan. I am a big Longhorns fan. So we're here. We're sharing a peaceful podcast tonight, despite the rivalries.
That's right.
But you are wearing a Texas Longhorns hat, and I do appreciate that.
I'm not wearing a Longhorns hat. I'm wearing.
Oh,
a
I'm sorry.
Rangers
I said Longhorns. I meant Rangers.
Oh my
see,
gosh.
I got Longhorns on the brain. So
all my friends just had a heart attack when you said
I know. I apologize for that. So no, let me specify again. Jason is not wearing a Longhorns hat. That's just me. That's a Freudian slip. It's a Texas Rangers hat.
It's a Texas Rangers hat. Yes, I am.
And it's a vintage Rangers hat too.
It is. Thank you very much for noticing. Yeah, I'm a big Texas Ranger baseball fan.
There you go.
Right on.
Yeah, I think we were talking before we
That
got started.
New ballpark sounds gorgeous.
I was there last weekend. Yeah.
Nice.
It was. It's still a work in progress, but it's going to be awesome.
Nice. Yeah. What was funny was the ballpark that they just left was brand new when I was moving away from Texas. Like they had just built that, never got a chance to go see it. And then I think I was making a comment the last time we visited Dallas, I think last summer. And I said, oh yeah, that's the ballpark. Oh no, wait a minute. That's not the ballpark that was brand new when I left here. Apparently there's now a new one. So
it's crazy. It still looks brand new. It's still beautiful.
Yeah. All right. So I'm going to put you on the spot here. So you've been listening to our show for probably a couple of years now?
I think I started last April or May.
Okay. About a
That's
year and
when
a
I
half,
found you
maybe,
guys.
or so.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Do you have, and you don't have to limit yourself to, I think I heard you and Bo talking earlier about this, but you don't have to limit yourself to one that we've done on the podcast. Do you have one movie that if you had to pick one movie from the 80s and say, this is my quintessential, I love this movie from the 80s, what movie would that be?
Well, my favorite movie of all time is Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Okay.
Excellent choice.
I've seen you mention that a few times on Twitter, so yeah.
Yeah, that's my number one. But I'm a big Die Hard fan too, so I really enjoyed that podcast when you guys covered that.
Nice. Is it a Christmas movie?
Absolutely, it is.
There you go. Thank you.
That's what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm. And that's why we didn't have some of the other guys on the show tonight, because I wanted to ask that question, get that response.
Of course it is.
Party has a pooper.
Nice. All right. So then we've got, and this is our last year in the 80s. And so then starting next year, we're in the 90s. Is there a 90s movie that you're really looking forward to having us cover, or just you have a movie from the 90s that you really love?
Yeah, I mean, the movie that really rocked me in the 90s was Jurassic Park.
Nice.
I saw that twice opening weekend, and still for me, that's a tentpole movie for the 90s.
Yeah.
You know, I take a lot of heat for this too. I'm a big fan of Titanic.
Okay.
A lot of my guy friends give me trouble about that, but I'm just like, man, that's a master at work.
Oh yeah. No, that's a great movie. I think I ended up seeing that. I know I went once with my wife, and we were married at the time, but went to see it once with her and some friends, and I think I went to go see it again. So saw that one twice in the theater when it came out. So you're not going to get in trouble here. Like we just love movies. We don't really care what kind they are.
That's right.
Yeah, Jurassic Park is one. There was a kind of a Twitter film challenge earlier to spell out your name, the first letter of, take the letters in your name and make a list of movies that you love.
Yep.
And I saw that on Twitter earlier, so I'm like, oh, okay, J. And I decided I can either spend a really long time agonizing over what I'm going to choose for these, or
which
I can
is
just
what
say,
John usually does.
Which is right. I usually have charts and graphs and all kinds of stuff, and
it's true.
It's like Moneyball in here with the movies, and. So this time I was like, nope, just whatever's the first thing that comes off the top of my head. And I got to the J, and like, what movies even start with Jurassic Park? Didn't have to think about that one too long. I know there's some other ones, but nope, Jurassic Park.
Yep, that's an easy call.
Yeah. Now I will say, and I don't know if I need to apologize for this or not, but when I got to the R in my last name, I was like, R. And the first thing that came up was Raiders of the Lost Ark. And I was like, oh, yeah, but I feel like that might be an obvious pick. And I had another one that I was like, well, this one starts with an R too. Might not be the obvious pick. So I did switch out Raiders for Raising Arizona.
Very nice.
Now,
yeah,
that doesn't necessarily mean I think Raising Arizona is a better movie. Just I felt like that was maybe a good pick for that list. So I was worried I might get a little flack for taking out Raiders and putting in that one, but that's all right.
I'm gonna have to jump on here and on Twitter here in a little bit and tackle that one myself.
Yeah. All right, Bo, do you have? I can ask you this too, Bo. Do you have a movie that you're looking forward to when we get to the 90s?
I am, although it's kind of a bubble movie. I'm looking it up really quick now to make sure it's a 90s movie.
I thought Bubble Boy was in the 70s.
Ha 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 ha. Such a funny man. Yeah, 1990 even. I'm not crazy.
Okay. What is it?
The Hunt for Red October.
Oh, nice.
It is on my all-time top 10 list of movies. I just love it. Even for all the flack it takes, for very good reasons. I love that movie.
Nice. Well, that's a good one. Yeah, as I've said before, I'm looking for. I mean, there's tons of ones I'm looking forward to, but I'm looking forward to The Rocketeer. And I love that movie. And I almost told myself, like, I can't wait to talk about that one. But at the same time, I spent, I think, about a year maybe over a year, listening to the Rocketeer Minute, one of those podcasts where they go minute by minute through the movie. Wow. And I'm like, what could I possibly say that those guys didn't already say much better than I could in like 80 plus episodes? So part of me is like, don't even try. Just like put a link, like put it out on Twitter, put a link and just tell people, go listen to that. Cause that's, that's a good 2 months of your life. If you want to just listen to those, they did a great job. And one of those guys works at an airfield up in Wisconsin. So I'm like, he's got the pilot knowledge. He's got all kinds of stuff. And I was just like, okay, well, maybe I don't get the podcast on that one because these guys have already done it.
I'm gonna have to rewatch that one. I haven't seen that since the 90s.
It's good stuff. It's good stuff. And it's the one, if you want to do a double header, the good one to watch after that is Sky Captain and the World of Tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Those are two good movies to kind of watch together if you want to, because it's kind of like I think of Sky Captain as like what phrase do people use, the spiritual successor to the Rocketeer. It's got that same look and feel. It's got it's got the noir stuff. It's got the Art Deco kind of designs. If you're looking for a good doubleheader that you could throw in, you could do a whole lot worse than Rocketeer and Sky Captain.
Cool. Okay, check it out.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's jump back into the DeLorean and we'll go back to 89. So this week in 89, we are looking at the week of June 26th to July 2nd, 1989. And honestly, I had a hard time finding events that seemed like they were fairly newsworthy for this particular week. So I don't know that I have any events in particular. Couldn't even, memory wise, couldn't even think that far back to what I was doing in 1989 when I was a whopping, 8.5 years old. So the top book this time, still The Russia House by John le Carre. The top movie is Batman. The top song is Satisfied by Richard Marx. Do either of you remember what you're doing in the end of July or end of June, beginning of July in 1989?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, for sure.
Oh, do you? What were you doing?
Chasing girls and working at the pizza place.
There you go.
Sounds like a pretty good summer. What pizza place were you working at?
It's called Mazzio's Pizza.
Oh, yeah.
In Jinx, Oklahoma.
Absolutely.
I do remember like this week in 89, there was like some weird thing where it was like 12, 34, and 56 seconds on June 7th of 89. I kind of lined up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Yep.
Right on.
Yeah. I thought I read that at some point.
Actually, I think it was 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 89.
Yeah.
That's really cool. I love stuff like that.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and jump on into, let's go to the Double Deuce and we'll jump on into our Roadhouse background info here. So the title of this one, again, is Roadhouse. It was released on the 19th of May, 1989, rated R, with a runtime of 1 hour, 54 minutes, directed by Rowdy Harrington, who also did Striking Distance and The Stick Up, produced by Joel Silver, who did Predator and Hudson Hawk.
Striking Distance is really good, too.
I've never seen that one.
Oh, it's so good.
Okay. I will add it to the list then. That's the other thing about doing this podcast is like now I have, and my wife just rolls her eyes at me every time I go, all right, should we consult a list of movies that I have that I need to watch and start renting these or looking for them on Netflix? And she's like, you're never going to get caught up with all these. Whenever somebody recommends something to you, you're never going to get caught up and still watch all the movies that you say you want to watch for this podcast thing. So I have a list and I just get to it whenever I can.
Striking Distance is good. I'm going to go on that. Yeah.
Okay. All right. I got to check that one out. Writers for this one are R. Lance Hill and Hilary Henkin. Hill did Out for Justice and 8 Million Ways to Die. Henkin did Wag the Dog and Romeo is Bleeding. Cinematography done by Dean Cundy, who did Jurassic Park, oddly enough, and then Escape from New York. Music by Michael Kamen, who died in 2003 and did Lethal Weapon and X-Men. Budget for this one was $15 million. Box office was $30.1 million. The critics, Rotten Tomatoes critics, gives this one a 38%. The audience gives it a 66%. IMDb gives it a 66%. Letterboxd gives it a 66%, and CinemaScore gives it a B. Starring Patrick Swayze, who died in 2009 as Dalton. He was in Ghost, Point Break, and Dirty Dancing. Kelly Lynch was Doc. She was in Drugstore Cowboy and Charlie's Angels. Sam Elliott was Wade Garrett. He was in Tombstone and The Big Lebowski. Ben Gazzara, who died in 2012, was Brad Wesley. He was in The Big Lebowski and Anatomy of a Murder. Marshall R. Teague was Jimmy. He was in Armageddon and Babylon 5. Julie Michaels was Denise. She was in Point Break and The Newsroom. Red West, who died in 2017, was Red Webster. He was in The Rainmaker and Safe Haven. Here is the trailer, and we will be back in just a moment.
Can I buy you guys a drink? Guess not.
Patrick Swayze is
Dalton.
I thought you'd be bigger.
Opinions vary.
When he's around, anything can happen.
How does a guy like you end up a bouncer?
Just lucky, I guess.
And usually does.
If somebody gets in your face, I want you to be nice.
Don't be rude. Ask him to walk, but be nice. Help this gentleman to the door.
Until it's time to not be nice.
So says the fighting philosopher.
He may be hard to handle.
I keep talking, you're gonna go off thinking I'm a nice guy.
I know you're not a nice guy.
But he's easy to like.
What's the matter, Dalton? Don't you like women?
The worst I ever had was wonderful.
He's not what you'd expect.
I thought you'd be bigger.
But there's one thing you can count on. He's the best friend a good time ever had.
You guys tired?
Doc, I'll get all the sleep I need when I'm dead.
This is my town.
I'm not afraid of him.
I guess you'll be having that fire sale now, all right?
You got your hands full, kid.
I just think I'm looking at a dead man.
Patrick Swayze.
For that line of work, I thought you'd be bigger.
Gee, I've never heard that before.
Roadhouse.
All right, we are back. So Roadhouse, is this the first time anybody has seen this one?
I think, yes. I think it was the first time I've seen it. There was
Really?
a couple of moments of deja vu, but not enough where I think I've ever actually seen this movie.
Wow.
Okay. So Jason, I'm going to guess, because this is the first time I had seen this one too, I'm going to guess you're going to be the expert on this one.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. I saw this one at the theater.
All right.
Nice.
So Bo and I are going to sit back. We're just going to let you take the rest of the show.
No, please no.
So I will also say this is the first time I've seen this movie. I have heard about it for years, and sometimes when I would hear about it, I'd kind of hear about it as a joke, or I'd hear about it as like people looking back at 80s movies that they admitted they're like, well, it's not a great movie, but I love it. Kind of one of those. And as I was doing a little bit of reading up on it, several websites had this on a list of great or good bad movies. So I was like, oh, all right, well, I'll go in with low expectations and we'll just see what happens. And and my wife loves Dirty Dancing, and I know we did Dirty Dancing, a couple years ago, I think it was. Mm-hmm. And Bo, I know you're a big fan of that one.
Yeah.
And so I kind of went into this one. I was like, okay, well, maybe this will be kind of like it's right about the same time. Maybe it'll be kind of like a Dirty Dancing, but he's a bouncer, and I will just see how this goes. And so I kind of went in with low expectations, but it was the first time I had seen it, and without going too deep in it right now, I will just say I was pleasantly surprised. It was like, after I'd heard people kind of make fun of this movie sometimes, or outright just say, no, that movie is bad. I was like, well, okay, we'll give it a chance. We'll see how it goes. And I enjoyed it. I had fun watching it. So Jason, you said you saw this in the theater.
I did. Yeah.
Nice.
I sure did.
So paint us a picture. What was it like seeing this in the theater for the first time?
Okay. So June of, or whenever this came out, May of '89. So I was 16.
Okay.
I don't know if it's the era or not, but I just talked my way into an R-rated movie somehow. And yeah, for me and my friends, watching a guy beat up other guys and, pretty girls and fast cars and a Bigfoot truck,
Mm-hmm.
we were all in. We thought it was great. And I still do. I love it.
Nice. So, Bo, what about you? So this is the first time you saw it. Kind of what's your just initial takeaway from this movie? Did you have any kind of preconceived notions? Had you heard anything about this before watching it?
Honestly, my my pop culture references to this movie are all from a Ron White stand-up comedy bit. I think I might have sent the YouTube clip out to the podcast guys. So I didn't know much about it. I knew it was about a bouncer. That was about it. And I had heard rumors. There's a guy I used to work with at a bar. Because I suppose technically, for a hot second, I was technically a bouncer. There's a guy I used to work with back in the day who people used to say he had patterned his life after Dalton. Now, at the time, I didn't know what that meant. Now that I've seen the movie, yeah, there was a lot of similarities there. It's very interesting.
I read somewhere that I referenced Dirty Dancing a minute ago. I read somewhere that one of the original taglines, I don't know if it was on the movie posters or not, but one of the original taglines for this was "The dancing's over, now it gets dirty."
Oh,
that's outstanding.
That's rough.
It's so cheesy. I love it.
This is just it's just pure 80s awesomeness the whole way through.
Oh, it really is. The muscle, the music, the cars, everything. And it's so classically 80s, like the way everybody looks,
that's why I couldn't figure out why. Now, quality wise, sure, maybe it's not the best movie in the world, but it's fun. It's just one of those movies that's fun, and maybe it is a bad movie, but
I liked it.
I liked it too, and for the same reasons Jason mentioned. I'm like, well, you've got fighting, you've got cars, you've got pretty girls, you've got the evil millionaire crime boss, and that's pretty much what you need for a good 80s action movie. So
yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, it pretty much hit all the marks for me. So
I think you know what you need to know in about the first 10 seconds when the pretty girl pulls up in a Testarossa and gets out and goes into the hopping bar.
Right.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's very true.
Yeah. Yeah. So I was thinking about, I tried to kind of look back because I know one of our 5 questions here in a little bit is like favorite Patrick Swayze role. And I was kind of looking at this going, so how do I rank this in terms of some of his other roles? And I tried to think about it, and this may give a little bit of a preview for my answer for that. But I looked at it, and I was like, you know what? Actually, I think this might be one of my favorites of his. That this is one of those movies, and I know we were talking a little bit about it before we started recording, that sometimes we kind of look back on some of these 80s movies, and we're like, well, that didn't really age quite the way you'd expect it to, or quite the way you want it to. And sometimes I go into these movies thinking, oh man, I heard about this as a kid, and I bet this is a great movie. And then I watch it, and I'm like, well, that wasn't really as great as I thought it was going to be. But this is one of those that was a completely the other direction for me. I was like, well, I've heard it's kind of bad, so we'll see. Let's give it a try. And I go into it, and I'm like, that was fun. Like, I don't actually mind. I'd watch this again. There's several movies we've done on this podcast where I know I'll sit there and I'll go, well, I watched it once. I'm pretty good. I can move on to other movies in my list. But this one, I'm like, no, actually, I may watch that again here in a few weeks.
It's got everything you need. It's great.
Mm-hmm. Acting wasn't bad. Like sometimes I try to break some of this stuff apart, and I'm like, well, was the acting bad? Like, why do people think this is a bad movie? So I guess maybe that's my next question for you guys is, when people criticize this and people say that this is a fun or a good bad movie, what do you think in their mind, if you don't have any indication, in your own mind of why this is a bad, I'm using my quote fingers, bad movie, what do you think other people think makes this a bad movie?
Well, it's a lot of fighting. Maybe people aren't a big fan of that. There's, let's see, why would someone think this was a bad movie?
It's the 80s. People love fighting.
Yeah, I think part of it might be time. This movie definitely is from a time.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can't accept that and suspend disbelief a little when you approach it, then I could see that being a problem.
Okay.
Yeah, that's tough. I guess maybe the plot is a little bland and it resolves itself in an odd way, but not in a bad way.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of fun.
Do you think the movie was too long? Do you think it could have been helped by being a shorter movie? Because I know sometimes when we talk about like, well, the plot was a bit of a stretch, and sometimes
Right.
I kind of feel like some of these movies, they could have been cleaned up a bit, and they could have been, shortened by 20 minutes or so. And, you have your fun, you've got your girls, you've got your cars, you've got your fighting, and then, some blood is spilled, some glass is broken, and you were out the door in an hour and a half. Do you think that that's something, story-wise, do you think that's something that could have helped, or
Yeah, maybe. I feel like
is it
there
just
could be.
is
I
it just
feel
a
like
more
there-
generic story?
I feel like there could be that where they linger too long on they hold some shots a little longer than they would have to. I don't know if you're going to pick up 20 minutes,
Right.
but that was the style back then. I mean,
Yeah.
you had those long establishing shots. You had the, when the car is driving up, do you need 10 seconds of it? You probably only need 6. But that
depends on the car.
establishing shot of the car and the dust and that's just part of it's part of how they made movies back then.
Yeah.
I'm going to go opposite. I think it's perfect. I think it's a perfect length because you go from fight to, pretty girl to awesome car to Bigfoot ridiculously trashing a car place. And it just moves right along to awesome to awesome to awesome. I thought it was great. I got no complaints.
Do you have any of any of your friends who have watched this, or anybody you interact with on Twitter? Do any of them feel like this is a bad movie? Have you heard that criticism before, or is that just something that?
I mean, it's a little bit ridiculous. I mean, you hear that sometimes. The the fighting, he doesn't get any kind of local anesthetic when he's getting his staples in his side. He just a lot of tough guy stuff.
Okay, I never thought about that, but sure.
My wife likes it though, and we watch it together.
There you go.
Yeah, she likes the TBS version, but
okay,
it's fun.
Wait, you guys get anesthetic when you get cuts?
Pain don't hurt.
I just staple myself. I don't know what you guys are doing, but I just use a stapler in my office here, and I've never used anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so you're going to see a movie about a bouncer. You're not going to see some like serious drama. It's not, it's not La La Land or Moonlight.
That's right.
It's Patrick Swayze as a bouncer. He's going to beat people up, and
that's true.
Yeah. I was also trying to think about kind of the supporting cast in this movie. I don't know, other than the fact that she looks nice. Kelly Lynch, I haven't really found a movie yet where I've really thought that her character was kind of a standout character. Like, we just watched Drugstore Cowboy not that long ago, and in that movie I was like, well, okay. I mean, she's all right, but there's not a whole lot that I felt was memorable about her character in that movie. And it's kind of the same in this movie too. I'm kind of like, well, okay, as a love interest, she's fine. Obviously she looks very nice, but character-wise, there's not a whole lot that I feel like is memorable about it, I guess. So, but other than that, like Sam Elliott, I'll watch just about any movie Sam Elliott's in. Between Tombstone, Big Lebowski, and
awesome in this.
Oh yeah,
he's
this
perfect.
Is just great.
He's perfect as the mentor bouncer.
Mm-hmm.
So smooth, just so
Kelly Lynch I thought she was pretty. I mean, it's a stretch to see her as a doctor.
Mm-hmm.
I heard that Annette Bening was kind of the one that they had already hired to be that spot, and then swapped her out for Kelly Lynch. And I think that's a very Roadhouse move. I think she fits the movie a little bit better.
Yeah. What did I also read? I also read that, oh gosh, who was it? It was, no. It was that Patrick Swayze, because of this movie, he turned down roles in Tango and Cash, which I just watched, and Predator 2, because he got hurt making this movie.
Mm-hmm. Which doesn't surprise me.
Yeah. So he turned that one down. And because of that, I guess he, then because he had gotten hurt, his next movie was Ghost. And it was it was a much less physical movie. And with that, I think that worked out well for him.
Yeah, definitely. Although it would have been cool to see Tango and Cash with Patrick Swayze, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
I'd like to visit that universe where we get to swap actors in and out and see how a movie would be different.
Yeah, I don't know. The criticism that this is a bad movie, I don't know if that's just, maybe that's an internet thing. Maybe that's, I don't know. But no, it was fun. Like I don't really have anything else to say other than just, it's fun. It was a fun movie. It ticks all those boxes that you want a fun, when I say mindless movie, I don't mean mindless in like it's stupid or anything like that. you don't have to think a whole lot when you're watching this movie. And sometimes I
it's
just
all
want to sit
there.
down.
There's not a lot of subtext.
Right. As Jason said, you know everything you need to know in the first 5 minutes, maybe even 5 seconds of this movie. You know everything you need to know. And sometimes that's just a refreshing palate cleanser from some of the other stuff that, you go to watch in the movies.
Yeah, people who think it's a bad movie, they don't appreciate awesomeness.
Right. They are also people who probably did not enjoy Delta Force and the Rocky movies and all kinds of other fun stuff.
Apparently there's an interview floating around. You mentioned length earlier. There's an interview floating around that says the first cut was 3 hours long.
Okay, that might be a little bit too long.
Right?
I don't know if I could do a 3-hour Roadhouse. Yeah, that would be kind of crazy. I wonder what else was added. I wonder what else was in it before they cut it down.
It's funny.
From 3 hours.
We were talking about Kelly Lynch. I feel like if anything is missing, there needs to be a couple more scenes of the two of them actually getting to know each other.
Mm-hmm.
And, some more of Kelly Lynch in general. I wouldn't complain about it. But I sort of feel like...
Now, I'm going to keep it family friendly, but when you say getting to know each other...
Well, no, I actually...
Are we talking like Roger Moore, James Bond getting to know each other, or are we talking... Just like as people, as human beings.
As human beings. I feel like there's at least one scene missing from when he shows up at the hospital to when they hang out at the bar. I feel like there used to be one more time when they hang out at the bar for that to be believable, but it's also the first thing you can cut if you're trying to piece it together.
Right.
You
still get their relationship from what you see.
Oh, yeah. But there could have been more. And I also feel like, I guess if I was betting what's on the cutting room floor, there's more of the two of them. There's probably more of her in states of undress.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's probably, as weird as this sounds, there's probably more with the bad guy being bad.
That's what I kind of wondered too, if there's maybe more to his character.
Yeah.
So that was actually, and that's actually my next question is, how do you guys feel about him as a villain?
A little bit over the top, a little ridiculous, but he's kind of a nice guy villain until it was, until at the end when it was time to not be nice.
Right.
Trashing the dealership with the Bigfoot truck and that other fun stuff.
Talk about over the top. I'm like, okay, come on now. Like, you could have trashed his dealership without the Bigfoot truck,
right?
And it still would have driven the point home. But good on you, because you had access to a Bigfoot truck and you used it.
And very clearly, you've got control of all the authorities because you can just stand there and watch your Bigfoot truck go through the dealership, and nobody says boo to anything.
I thought the guy that Patrick Swayze fought at the very end, I thought he was a pretty good bad guy.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
He looked tough. I mean, like real tough.
Yeah.
And crazy. He had crazy eyes, man.
Mm-hmm.
He wanted you to know that he was crazy enough to kill you.
Yes.
And I believed it.
Mm-hmm.
That's why Patrick had to do what he had to do, or Dalton.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. Well, do we have anything else we want to say specifically about the movie before we jump into our 5 questions?
The only thing I was going to say when I did a little research on it.
Yeah.
The girl that was kind of the bad girl.
Her
name's Denise in the movie. She's blonde, and she was the girl that actually gets in a fight with Keanu Reeves in Point Break and beats him up. Which that surprised me.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
When they raid that house and she's actually in the shower, she jumps out and beats him up. So, same girl.
Okay. Well, I'll go back and watch that. She was in. Yeah, I was looking to see like what else she was in. She was in that TV show, The Newsroom, that used to be on. Was that HBO or Cinemax or show? Might have been Showtime. One of those. Anyway, I used to watch that TV show a lot, and I was like, oh, I wonder what part she was. And she just was like random stunt person. So, like, okay, well, I'm probably not going to recognize her then. All right. Well, let's go ahead and jump on into our 5 questions for Roadhouse.
He asks each traveler 5 questions.
It's impossible to answer.
Impossible because you don't know the answer.
Nobody could answer that question.
You've got to ask yourself one question.
What are you asking me for? I don't know.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. And may God have mercy on your soul.
So if you have not joined us before, 5 questions. These are 5 questions that are loosely, and I say very, very loosely sometimes, based on the movie that we're talking about or related topics to the movie that we're talking about. So these 5 questions, I'm going to ask these 5 questions of everybody here on our show, and we'll get our answers here. And so I'm just going to start us off with, have you ever been, and some of these questions, if you feel like, it's a little personal, I don't want to answer that, then feel free to say, pass, or, I haven't, but I have a story I'm willing to tell about someone else. So question number 1, have you ever been asked to leave a place or been kicked out? Bo, why don't we start with you? Have you ever been kicked out of somewhere?
Not that I can recall.
Okay.
But, there's some nights.
That's a dangerous way of phrasing that. Not that you can recall.
There's some nights from my 20s that I don't remember how I got home.
Okay.
Who knows what happened.
Okay.
I'm not a rowdy drunk, so I probably haven't been, though.
Okay.
I may have asked a few people to leave in my day, but
okay.
I was asked to excuse myself from my Spanish class one time.
Oh.
I was chewing chicle in the class, and my teacher told me to put it out, throw it away. And when I came back and sat down, I put another piece back in, and she didn't like that.
I bet not.
As you guys know.
Nice.
Have you ever heard John's story about how he excused himself from a class once?
I have not heard that one.
Yeah, that one actually ended up in the was it a few years ago? It ended up as a sentence at the end of an article in the Chicago Tribune.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so the building that we used to have, our high school had a separate, it was the old high school building that was, when was it built? The teens or the 20s?
Teens.
10, okay.
I think 1910 was the first brick.
Okay. So by the time we started going to high school, this is Libertyville High School in Libertyville, Illinois. And by the time we started going there, they had a separate building for the freshmen. So if you were a sophomore through senior, you were at the kind of main high school building. If you were a freshman, you were at the old high school building that was called the Brainerd Building. And this is this old building, these huge windows, this scary gym with a track that was suspended from the ceiling that I guess terrified everybody to run on. And so
when you run as slow as John and I, nothing really terrifies you.
Well, I guess that's true. When it's more of a saunter, then it's
exactly.
not quite as terrifying. So we had these huge windows in the classrooms, and it was the end of the day. My French class was the end of the day. We had a teacher that year. She was a 1-year maternity sub for the normal French teacher. And I think it was a nice day outside. So we kind of had the windows open just a little bit. It was the last period of the day. I think because they weren't as all over the place. They weren't as ubiquitous now as they are now. But I had just found a Superman T-shirt. I was a big Superman fan, so I was wearing my Superman T-shirt. It was a beautiful day outside. It was the last period of the school day. The window was slightly open, so just as the bell rang, I dove out the window. Now the teacher, I might have shouted up and away, but I don't remember. The teacher was not thrilled. By the time I kind of walked around, and what I didn't realize was that window was up a little higher than I thought it was. So it was probably, what do you think those were, Bo? Like 12 feet?
Yeah, there was not a short drop.
No, it was not.
You went up a good half a flight of steps just to get to the floor of the building. So
I thought it was a much shorter drop than it was. So I think I kind of hobbled back into the building, and by the time I got, so news travels fast, because by the time I get back in the building, there's kids I don't even know that are high-fiving me. Like, I heard what you guys did. Like, how did you hear what I just did it? I know, I heard what you did. All right, cool. So and so then years later, my wife cuts an article out of the Chicago Tribune, and they were doing an article because they were several years ago, they were trying to restore the building or use it for like a civic center space or something like that. They were trying to restore the historic building and keep it instead of tearing it down. And in the article, it referenced, one of the teachers said, yeah, we had these rooms that there's all this, wood paneling, and it's this beautiful building and these huge windows. And in fact, one year we had a student that dove out of one of these huge, beautiful windows. So I have that article somewhere with that line highlighted, and I've got it saved so that someday I can tell my grandchildren that I dove out the window in French class.
That needs to go in your classroom, I think.
I actually used to have it up in my classroom, and my students would ask me about it. They'd be like, why do you have this highlighted? Well, kids, there's a reason this classroom has no windows.
Exactly.
Because I know from experience what you guys might do.
Dungeon.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So for me, having asked to leave a place, and I think I might have told this story before, so I'll tell it quickly this time. I was asked to leave a Chuck E. Cheese in Franklin, Tennessee. Have I told this story before? I don't remember.
Not that I recall.
Not that you recall? Okay. So my lovely wife and I were, and Bo, you know, in the story, you know who the bride is.
I do.
My lovely wife and I went down to Tennessee to, she was I don't remember if she was the maid of honor in the wedding, but Jennifer was my wife's friend in high school, and Bo, we always used to kind of hang out together. And so we go down to Tennessee for the wedding. Well, we don't know the groom. So my wife was invited to the bachelorette party. I was not invited to the bachelor party for obvious reasons, because I didn't know the guy. And they wanted someone to be kind of the designated driver. And so they nominated my wife, and by default nominated our car. Well, we only took one car down there, so I was left without means of transportation. So I told my wife, I said, you know what? I saw not too far away, it was maybe like 2.5 miles. I saw a movie theater, and then there's a bunch of restaurants and shopping in between the movie theater and the hotel. So before you go out, why don't you just drop me off at the movie theater, and I'll go see a movie or maybe two, and then I'll just walk back and I'll grab some supper somewhere and I'll go back to the hotel, and I'll see you later tonight. So she drops me off, and that's a whole kind of funny story in and of itself, because I went to go see, I think Shrek 2 was the only movie that I felt like watching at the theater. So I go in there and I'm watching the movie, and at the time I was working as a projectionist in a movie theater in Illinois. So I go in there and I'm noticing that I'm seeing like some extra white space on the side of the screen. And I walk back outside and I tell one of the ushers, I said, hey, can you call up to the booth and just tell them that the A plate needs to be adjusted just a little bit to the left? And the guy just stares at me and he goes, are you the guy from corporate who's doing the audit? And I was like, no.
Yes, I am.
I should have said that, because then I get a whole bunch of free popcorn and all kinds of other stuff. And I said,
someone asked if you're a god, John.
I know. I should have.
Yes.
You say yes. And so I said, no. He's like, I said, no, I'm from Illinois. Oh, he's like, oh God, corporate's from Illinois. I said, no. It's no. I said, I work as a projectionist. I just noticed it's off a little bit. It's kind of obnoxious. Can you just have him change it? So that all worked out fine. So then I have to start walking back. And as I'm walking back, I'm like, well, I'm kind of bored. I stopped at a bookstore. I was like, I didn't find anything at the bookstore. A whole bunch of these other shops are either closed or I'm just not interested. And I happened to walk by not too far away from the hotel, and I spotted Chuck E. Cheese. And I was like, well, I can get a bunch of tokens to play skee ball for maybe an hour or so. I love skee ball. So I decided to go into the Chuck E. Cheese and I start playing skee ball, start playing some other games. Well, lo and behold, the manager comes around and says, sir, I'm going to have to ask you to leave. I was like, what did I do? And he said, well, you're the only adult here that's not with a group of children.
And it's weird.
And the other adults feel a little awkward having an adult around without their family. So we need to ask you to leave. I'm like, I haven't done anything wrong. He's like, I understand, but you're making the other families here feel awkward. I was like, well, okay. So I told my wife about it later on. I said, you know what would be so much fun is if they like have my picture on the wall there and said, he's not allowed back in. And I can tell one of those stories that I was kicked out of a Chuck E. Cheese in Franklin, Tennessee.
That's awesome.
So yes, nothing. I didn't get kicked out of a bar. I got kicked out of a Chuck E. Cheese in Tennessee.
They have rules for that now. Like the one in Vernon Hills anyway, you can't even walk past the turnstile if you're not with a child.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're not screwing around.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
No skee ball weirdos there, that's for sure.
Yeah.
I guess so. All right. Question number 2. Favorite evil millionaire or billionaire in a movie? I wanted to cover all of my Dr. Evil bases and say millionaire and billionaire. So favorite evil rich guy in a movie.
I guess I'll go first on this one.
Sure.
All right. I got a couple. Hans Gruber, for me, he was a multimillionaire for about 10 minutes, but for him, he's my number one. And then I got to go with Ulrich Goldfinger.
Oh, very nice.
Nice.
From the James Bond movies.
Excellent choices. Excellent.
Thank you.
Very good. So mine is from multiple movies, but he's a classic, and he is redeemed in the end, so I don't know if it really counts. So I have a second one who wasn't redeemed in the end, but Ebenezer Scrooge.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then Mr. Potter from It's a Wonderful Life.
Okay, that's a good one. Actually, oh man, I even forgot about that one. That would be a great. Actually, I should put that one on my list because I love that movie. So Mr. Potter would probably be on mine too.
Yeah, he's a good one.
Yeah, I forgot about him. My two, I kind of went the route of like what was right off the top of my head. Two of my favorite movies. My two were either Lex Luthor, and I'm gonna go with the only Lex Luthor that I really enjoy, and that's the Gene Hackman one. Or Kevin Spacey wasn't bad, but I'm gonna go Gene Hackman. Or Jabba the Hutt.
There you go.
I'm gonna count Jabba the Hutt as the wealthy. I'm assuming he's got millions or billions of something other than Republic credits, because I know they're no good out there.
Well, one would hope.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Right.
Yeah, good call. Good call.
All right. Number 3. If you had to fight, I feel like this is our Fight Club question. If you had to fight one famous person, who would you want to fight? Bo, have you got one in mind?
I don't. I had a lot of trouble with this one.
Okay.
I guess it was famous person, not fictional person. So fight.
I'd let you get away with fictional if you've got a fictional one.
Oh, to fight a fictional person. Well, I'd get the crap kicked out of me, but at least I could say I was in a ring with Rocky. You know?
Yeah, okay.
I'd be done in about 2 seconds, but I got in a ring with Rocky. So.
See, I would have gone the other direction and be like, who could I just totally wail on and not get hurt myself?
Yeah.
So you and I went two very different directions on that
I
one.
might end up having to fight a little girl then.
Okay.
I got nothing.
Well, that's not cool. Unless maybe it's like the twins from The Shining.
Oh, now, okay. So
There you go.
we're talking. All right.
A little tag team there. Jason, have you got somebody that you would, if you had to fight a celebrity or you can even do fictional person if you want to, but you got anybody that you want to fight?
Yeah, I got two. Two. I think I'd be really surprised if this one didn't come up, but Ralph Macchio from The Karate Kid.
Solid.
Everybody who watches that says, I can take that guy, you know? And then my second one is Clint Eastwood. Just because,
nice.
I mean, he's 90 years old now. I think maybe now I could take him, but maybe not. So he's tough as leather, and he's been a tough guy my whole life, but he's getting to the point where I might be able to take him now.
Nice.
Crafty veteran, though. You got to be careful with
No kidding.
Yes. So if I was going to go for somebody that I felt like we could have that I would totally get destroyed, I feel like, but it would just be fun to fight this celebrity. I think I would go with Harrison Ford. Like that would be, if I knew I was a decent fighter, then that would end up being a good match to fight Harrison Ford. I had to go with somebody who was a little bit more my body type, so I went with Jack Black. I wanted it to be a fair fight. So I went with him. And then my other option was if it was somebody that I wanted to be just a lot bigger than, and just I just wanted to just wail on this person, I would choose Woody Allen. I do not like Woody Allen movies. He drives me nuts. So just the chance to just beat on him just a little bit, like not even necessarily to submission, just to get a few shots in.
Yeah, my money's on you on that one.
Yeah, I would have to.
I feel like that one would end very quickly.
Good.
All right.
Also feel like you'd get sued when that one was over.
Well, possibly, but you know what? It might be worth it.
Fair enough.
Might be worth it. All right, number 4, favorite Patrick Swayze role.
I might have to go with Dalton.
Okay.
I saw Point Break years ago, and I remember enjoying it, but I haven't seen it in so long. It's hard to pick that one. Dirty Dancing I might like if I hadn't OD'd on it over the years. I just can't watch the thing anymore.
Yeah.
And like you said, John, I was going down his IMDb list getting prepped for this, and I've seen decidedly few Patrick Swayze movies somehow. I was surprised at how many movies he was in that I hadn't seen. Wow.
Yeah.
Gonna have to check a couple of those out, maybe.
Yeah, Jason, what about you?
All right, for me, this is an easy call. Bodhi from Point Break is my absolute favorite Patrick Swayze role.
Nice.
But I mean, Dalton is like 1B.
Okay.
In fact, I think in a strange universe, if you could have Dalton and Bodhi team up and be like a buddy cop movie, that would be the best. Those two,
there we go. I like it.
Yeah,
a buddy cop twin movie.
Tango and Cash.
That's right. Both Patrick Swayze guys, both completely different.
There you go. See, that could have been the sequel to Twins.
There it is.
You could do that one instead of doing triplets or whatever they were planning on doing. You just do that one. Have 2 Patrick Swayzes.
That would be
like
cool.
it.
Nice.
That'd be cool.
Well, mine, I was kind of going back and forth. My wife and I really like Ghost. So, and I like his performance in that one. You know, it's different enough. He's not really fighting anybody necessarily. It's a little bit more comedic for him. So I always like him in that one. But I think I actually got to pick Roadhouse. Like I really liked his character in this movie.
Nice.
So I think I got to go with Roadhouse on this one. But my other one that was kind of a very, very close kind of second or second and a half would be, did you guys ever watch the TV series that he did right before he died called The Beast?
I did not.
No.
Okay. It was pretty good. He was kind of
That's what I heard.
Yeah, he was kind of was he a cop or an FBI agent? And he was you kind of got the sense, and it's been a while since I've watched this. I guess it's almost a decade now since this came out. But I guess he was either corrupt, or you got the sense that he was corrupt, and he gets a new partner, this younger partner, and what he's not aware of at first is that this younger partner is actually a double agent who's investigating him.
Cool.
So, and I think it was filmed in Chicago, so it was kind of fun because you get to see a whole bunch of locations. You know, they'll go to different places and you're like, oh, I know where that is. So that was kind of the fun part of it too, is you'd see places that you recognize, at least for us, you'd see places you recognized in the city, or like, oh, hey, that's just right outside of this neighborhood or whatever it might be. But I remember watching that TV series when it came out. It was a pretty good series, and I think it would have kept going, but I think he died. They might have only done one season and then he passed away.
Wow.
But yeah, so I don't know if it's streaming anywhere, but it's definitely worth a watch. I think it might be on Amazon Prime.
I'll check.
But I'm not sure. So, but yeah, if you're looking for a cop show and you want to see an older Patrick Swayze, then
I am
check it
looking
out
for something this summer because
I
did start Good Omens last night.
Okay. I keep seeing reviews for that, but I haven't watched it yet.
It's good.
Okay. Once we finish off the other shows, the other million shows we've started, then we'll add that to our list.
It is streaming on Sony Crackle of all services.
Huh.
But and it is purchasable on Amazon. But
okay.
13 episodes, one season.
Okay. Yeah. Because I think they were starting to do pre-production for the second season, and that's when he passed away.
No, that's too bad because it's
really too bad.
It sounds good.
Yeah, it was a good show. I remember being a good show.
He was a good actor, and he had some really good roles. Not tons, but he hit 4 or 5 home runs with me.
Yeah. Well, and I remember I taught the book The Outsiders in my class for many years, and so and he's not in that one a lot, but I watched that one like 4 times a year because I'd show it to 4 of my different classes.
Cast is just crazy.
Oh yeah.
See, that one rings home with me because that's shot in my hometown.
Right.
Right on.
I'm from Tulsa, Oklahoma, and so you can visit the Outsiders house now, and
nice.
That cast was amazing.
Yeah. I knew the house was there, and I've driven either past or through Tulsa several times, and I've just never stopped. So the next time we go through there, I'm gonna have to make a purposeful trip and just say, all right, we're stopping, we're pulling off, and we're stopping by there.
That's really super cool.
The guy who one of the singers of let's see, I'm gonna get this wrong. House of Pain. Bought it and restored it.
Oh, nice.
The only thing I know about House of Pain, and you probably would recognize it, is the song "Jump Around."
Yep, yeah, that's what I was thinking. That's what playing in my head.
He bought it and restored it. He's put a lot into it, so
nice.
It's really cool.
Yeah, I didn't share it with my students because obviously not appropriate, but there was a night where I think my wife and her mom had gone into the city for something, and it was later at night, put the kids to bed. I was sitting down to watch a movie, and I realized that I'm not really a beer drinker, but every once in a while I'll have kind of one of those what are they, like the hard ciders or something like that. And so I pulled one out, and I had one in one of my favorite pint glasses. And the only thing that we had was we had some leftover Portillo's chocolate cake. So I'm sitting there in front of the TV with a glass of beer or a glass of cider and chocolate cake. And I'm thinking, this is exactly like the scene in The Outsiders when he sits down with his beer and his chocolate cake to watch the cartoons.
I want to know how you had leftover Portillo's chocolate cake.
Because I forgot about it.
That's crazy.
And that's kind of not a very good excuse either to forget about Portillo's chocolate cake.
Right.
Mm-hmm. By the way, Portillo's, if you would like to sponsor the podcast, you can get in touch with us by going to 30podcast@gmail.com. If they just want to sponsor us with free cake, I'd be totally fine with that too.
I was just going to say, cake goes a long way.
All right, final question. Who would win in a fight, Dalton or Wade Garrett?
I gotta say Garrett.
Okay.
He's too smooth and too calm. I feel like Dalton would eventually run himself out.
Okay.
I love Dalton, but I got to go with Garrett too.
Okay.
It's kind of like, even with his bum knee, it's kind of like when you play your dad in basketball.
Mm-hmm.
He's, you're faster, you're younger, you're stronger, but he's still wily enough to beat you.
Mm-hmm.
Got to go with the master.
More experience.
Yep.
Yeah, that's mine too. I picked him I think solely based on the scene where Dalton's just getting completely beat up, and Wade is just standing there. He's just like having a conversation with the guys, and
right, he's
and
put
it's
his
like,
hair
okay,
up, and
right. It's like, okay, so he is not concerned at all with this situation, and that just shows me that he is so calm and cool and confident that he's not going to have any trouble at all finishing these guys off. So I feel like if the two of them got into a fight, I'm going to go with the more experienced Wade on that one.
Yep. Good call.
I just called to say I love you.
Ed Rooney's office. Ferris Bueller's online too.
I don't know who you are. I don't know what you want.
What am I doing? Talking to an empty telephone.
I don't understand.
Because there was a dead man on the other end of this phone.
Maybe. I guess you should have called.
I did call earlier when using the phone.
Earlier, when was that?
Or later, when then I left a message.
A message? What number did you call?
2, 4, 9er, 5, 6, 7, 8.
I can't hear you. You're trailing off. And did I catch a 9er in there? Were you calling from a walkie-talkie?
No, it was cordless.
Mm-hmm. You know what? Don't. Not here. Not now.
Okay. Bye-bye. Shoot, she knew it was me.
Hey guys, Pat here. Sorry I had to miss the podcast about Roadhouse. Great movie. Happened onto it about, I don't know, it was just a couple of years ago, and just by happenstance picked it up. Saw it was on Netflix or something, and yeah, loved it right away. I mean, just classic 80s action movie, good guy, bad guy. Pretty cool fight scenes too. I mean, which is always fun to watch. Patrick Swayze, I mean, why have we not talked about this guy more? I mean, he is just a great actor, fun to watch on screen, love the characters, and I think he's, maybe it's rare, I don't know, but he seems to be one of the guys that, guys can watch him and enjoy seeing him go, and it's all like tough and fight scenes and all that. Girls like watching him. I mean, my wife loves Dirty Dancing and is a huge Patrick Swayze fan, so it's, and for some reason we can just watch his movies and it doesn't have to be like, oh, a girl movie or, oh, a boy movie, because he's in it. He's someone that we could enjoy watching on screen irregardless. So anyways, thought he was great in Roadhouse. Love watching it. And I'm sorry I'm missing the conversation. I know you guys did the 5 questions. I'm not sure if you want to fit this in as well. But yeah, as far as the 5 questions, I never been kicked out of a place. They've never had to open the door with my head. I try and keep it on the DL whenever I'm going out. I don't know if there's any buddy that I would like to fight, or favorite movie with evil billionaires that have to be fought against. But I'd have to say my favorite Patrick Swayze role would be Point Break, and I think in a fight, I think Dalton would end up winning. It's sort of like the Qui-Gon Jinn, Obi-Wan Kenobi situation where, they seem to both be great fighters, but I think Dalton has the edge, just with his age. He's had less years of getting beat up, and, he seems to be a little bit more of a proficient martial artist. In any event, Roadhouse is a lot of fun and, great film to watch. So anyways, looking forward to connecting with you guys again. And it's so great that we had Jason on, and I'm looking forward to hearing the show and hearing his comments. Bye now.
All right. Well, I think that's going to do it for Roadhouse for this time around. So if you want to find out more about our show, go to 30podcast.com. It has all the different ways you can interact with us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all those other social media spots. We've also got the voicemail line if you want to call in. If you have thoughts on Roadhouse that we didn't even get to, we didn't even share, then we'd love to hear them. So feel free to give us a call. It's 872-35-MOVIE or 872-356-6843 if you want to call in, and we will play that on one of our next shows and respond to it. So that kind of finishes. This is going to finish off. Well, our 250th episode is technically going to finish off the month of June for us. And then we've got coming up our next few episodes. So if you want to kind of get ahead of things and go watch some of these before we start talking about them, for our next 2 months in July and August, we are going to be doing Uncle Buck. Then we've got Born on the 4th of July, Look Who's Talking, Parenthood, The Fabulous Baker Boys. And then I'm going to try at the end of July, if we can, I'm going to try to do kind of a summer blockbuster roundup. So maybe if we've had a chance to see some of the movies that came out this summer. I know there's a bunch of Disney movies coming out and, other stuff that we're just interested in seeing. Maybe just kind of do a one episode roundup of some of those different things. And then we're going to jump on into August. And August is our Life and Death month. And that is Steel Magnolias, Ghostbusters 2, Weekend at Bernie's, and Always. So that's what we got coming up in the next couple months. So if you want to go watch some of those to kind of get ahead of the game and be here ready to go when we start talking about them, you can go check those out. Go try to find those. Every once in a while, I will try to put up either on our website or Twitter or some other spots if there's a good place to stream some of these. I know Uncle Buck just watched a few days ago with the kids, and I think the only place I found that was through Stars. I don't think it was streaming too many other places, but if we find a good spot where these are streaming, then we usually try to put those out there. You can also usually find some of that information through the Letterboxd website if you use that one at all, letterboxd.com. It's a great website and app for if you're a movie fan, but it's got a section on there, I think, as part of the Go Watch It website, that will tell you, if you search for a movie, it'll tell you all the different places that's available, either to purchase or stream or whatever. So if you're having trouble finding any of these movies in a video store or local library, anything like that, there's all kinds of other places that you can go look these up. So thank you, Bo, and thank you in particular, Jason. So I think we're going to get Jason to come on back for one more episode with us. You're going to come on back in a couple weeks or like week and a half or so for Uncle Buck.
Great.
So we'll have you back here for this one, but thank you for being with us on this one too.
Man, thank you for having me. I really had a great time. Appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks a lot. And thank you, Bo. Thank you, Love Fest. Sorry. I'm going to get this right at some point. I'm going to just keep working on it till I remember to call you Love Fest. All right. Well, it's been a pleasure. And so we just hope that you go watch some good movies, be excellent to each other. First of all, go watch some good movies, and we'll see you back here next time.